I am David Venegas. I'm a developer at Copado Solutions. And in Copado, we specialize in release management, specifically for Salesforce. And given that we have hundreds of clients, we want to share with you today what are some of the best practices for an enterprise class release management. Whether you're already a big company, a medium size, or even if you're just a small company using Salesforce, eventually you will hire more developers and just grow. And so by following some of these practices, you can have a release management process that can be ordered, controlled, and that is efficient. So that's what we're going to talk about. Now, in Copado, we are currently being used by more than 9,000 users in 5 different continents. And we're installed directly from the App Exchange. So Copado is used within Salesforce. All right, so what consists of enterprise class release management? Well, you want to integrate 4 different things. First of all, your deployments through your sandboxes all the way to production. All right, and you want to keep a track of this in user stories so that you can split your work among your different admins and developers. And as they are working on their changes, you want to track how the changes are happening in a version control system like Git, for example. And the last thing you want to integrate into your release process is automated testing. And that's done with Selenium testing, so that as you're deploying changes from the dev sandboxes through integration, testing, and all the way to production, you can automate the testing of your different business processes. All right, so how does that look like? Well, here in this graph, as you can see, we have typically our developer sandboxes that they all merge into an integration environment, and that goes through a testing environment and then all the way to production. So in the starting at the developer sandboxes, you want to have feature branches for each of your new functionalities. You would also want to ensure that you have quality gates so that your changes are being checked before they move along your flow. And then also, as mentioned before, you want automated testing in your different environments. Now, usually, some of you may have experience working with Jenkins and also using Git in terminal and other automation and continuous integration tools. Now, with the idea with Copado, what we wanted to achieve was how to not focus on all these technologies, but focus more in releasing changes and in the quality of those changes. So for that, we built this tool that I'm going to show you now. And the first thing that you want to achieve by using Copado is to define the flow of your changes. So as you can see on the screen, I have 2 dev sandboxes that are linked to integration or testing and then to production. This is very simple, and your case may be more complex. But then once you have defined this flow, then you're ready to start working. And for that, Copado has user stories built within. And these user stories, you can either create them within Copado, or you can import them from other agile software like Jira, Rally, or Scrum. Now, once the user story is created, then you can assign this to your different admins or developers. You can specify in which sandbox this needs to be developed. So once the admin or developer finishes the changes, they need to come back to the user story. And as you can see this button here, it says commit files. This means that there's no need to be working with Git on your terminal. You can do that from within Salesforce. And by clicking the commit files button, Copado will show you a list of all the metadata components that exist in that sandbox. So then, as a developer, all I need to do is select the components that I worked on, and I can easily filter and search for them. And then, as soon as I commit files, what Copado does is, in the background, in your repository, for those who are experiencing Git, Copado creates automatically a feature branch out of master. And each user story has its own feature branch where the changes are isolated. And then Copado merges this feature branch into the main branch of your sandbox. All right, so this is happening in the background, so you don't have to be doing that manually. And then in the user story, after you've committed your files, then Copado displays them in a related list, so you can easily track the specific changes of your user story. Also, if there's any Apex code, Copado detects that, and you're able to run Apex tests specifically of the test classes of the user story. And you will be able to see what is the class coverage, the trigger coverage, and the methods that have passed. Now, once you finish your testing, this is ready to be deployed. So as a developer or admin, I can easily just have a submit for approval process where my release manager is notified of my changes in the user story. Then the release manager can come here and verify that the changes are correct. Then as soon as the release manager approves the user story, then the user story moves to the next environment and its metadata components are deployed. Now there's no more building chain sets, deploying with add migration tool. Copado takes care of that in the background. So all you need to do is keep working in the Salesforce platform. Now, how does that happen? Well, Copado creates this promotion record. And as you can see, the user story is being taken from the dev sandbox to the UAT sandbox. Now, this is because it's what I defined in my deployment flow. And you can see that you can promote one or more user stories at the same time. If you're promoting more user stories, Copado merges the feature branches of each of those user stories and deploys them together. So going back to the Git flow graph, when a promotion occurs, Copado creates a promotion branch out of the target branch, in this case, the UAT branch. Then Copado performs the deployment out of this merge. When the deployment completes, Copado merges the promotion branch into the target branch. That way, the UAT sandbox has the new changes, and also the UAT branch is updated with the new changes. Now, Copado is flexible enough to work with Git and version control, or without Git as well. So you can be deploying user stories org to org instead of from Git to org. All right. So as you're moving user stories from the dev environment to the higher environments, then Copado also detects the differences between your branches. So at any point in time, you can come and see how, for example, my UAT branch is different than my dev2 branch. You can see here that the UAT branch has new metadata components. If I click on the magnifying glass, I can see which components are new. And Copado automatically creates a validation deployment of these new files. And if the validation deployment is correct, Copado shows you this sync button. This means that as you're moving user stories to your integration environment, you can sync your other sandboxes with the new changes. And when you click the sync button, Copado creates a deployment to the dev2 sandbox, and then Copado merges those changes into the dev branch. All right, and as you're deploying user stories to UAT, imagine you have 20 user stories accumulated in UAT, and let's say that your release is on Friday. Since Copado performs a validation deployment automatically, today you would know if those 20 user stories will be able to be deployed to production. If there were to be any errors, you have time to troubleshoot that before Friday comes. So that's one of the beauties of the branch management application. Okay, so going back to the presentation, in Copado you can also compare metadata components between different sandboxes and the production order. All you need to do is select which components you would like to compare, and then Copado shows you a side-by-side comparison of the files that are different. For example, I have here a profile. And so you can see how this profile is in my dev sandbox here. And you can also see how the same profile looks like in production. And you can create a deployment to cancel out these differences. And with these colors, you would be able to see what exactly would happen after the deployment finishes. Now, in Copado, you can also run Apex testing of all your different environments. So Copado is only installed in production, but from there, you can see how the Apex testing is in your different sandboxes. And you can get email alerts as well if there's any Apex testing failing in an org. All right, now we've gone through version control, moving your changes through user stories, and having quality gates with the submit for approval. Now, the last step of the release process would be the automated testing. And so for that, we also have created the Copado Selenium application where you can build your test scripts automatically. And let me show you how that works. So we have created an extension in Chrome called the Copado IDE. So you can, for example, start recording, and everything that you do on the screen is being recorded in a test script. So let's say I'm changing its values and I'm typing things. And if I go back to the Copado extension, you will be able to see that here are the different actions that I perform. So for example, I clicked and I typed and I selected from my different fields. And Copado is Salesforce friendly, meaning Copado easily detects whenever the recording is happening on a Salesforce interface. And you have different data sets as well. So here I have what I just wrote and selected, but you can create different data sets for testing different scenarios. So once you have created your different test scripts, you can run them in a WebDriver URL, and you will see the results here in Copado. So for example, I ran this test script in a Windows 10 computer in Chrome 54, and I will be able to see how my test script went as it was being tested in the WebDriver. So this way, as you're moving your changes through your different environments of your deployment flow, you're tracking changes in Git. You're also having an order control with the user stories. You can sync your different sandboxes, and then you can also run Selenium tests automatically as your user stories are being deployed. Now, this is what will be a modern enterprise class release management. And we are currently growing rapidly in Copado, so we're hiring. So visit us at our booth upstairs or come talk to us at the end. Thank you.
Okay, so we have 10 minutes. One has questions, time for Q&A session.
Yeah. I would like to ask you about, you said that for the user stories, you could import them from, for example, Jira.
Yeah.
How about synchronizing what you're doing in Copado with the user stories you have in Jira? They will be synchronized or will only be imported?
Yeah, thank you. So currently at the moment, it's a one-way integration. So you import the user stories, and then we have open unmanaged package for that. So you can customize it so that you're able to update back with the Jira API, for example. So, yeah.
So you talked about the sandboxes. Does it work, this framework as well in the dev orgs?
Yeah, in any type, yeah. Dev, org, sandboxes, and production orgs.
So that means that Copado will discover all the environments that are connected to production, right? How you connect your own developer or not connected to the production or.
Yeah. So with Copado, you would integrate all your different environments through an OAuth authentication.
Oh, okay. So you can add many.
Yeah, and that's how Copado knows which metadata components exist, and is able to perform the deployments using the metadata API.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
The testing framework works only in Classic or in Lightning Experience as well?
Yeah, currently it's 100% Classic.
Okay.
Lightning is it works. It's just there are certain components that are still not detected, and we're working on them. So yeah, in the next weeks, we'll be Lightning ready. And it's also not only for Salesforce. As you saw the Chrome extension, you can also record any web application. So it's not specific for Salesforce. So even if, for example, you have a third-party application that your salespeople use besides Salesforce, you can also test those third-party applications as well.
The extensions are from Copado.
Yeah, the extensions from Copado, and the test cases are saved in your Salesforce org.
We still have some 8 minutes. Do you have more questions or?
Yeah, about the testing, the Selenium testing, when you deploy to production, let's say it's production, will the Selenium test automatically run or just the Apex tests?
Yeah, so you define which Selenium test you would want to run automatically. And there you can have two types. You can have the regression, so just the normal business testing. But you can also have feature testing for that user story. So you can automatically run both your regression and just the test for testing the specific user story. Yeah.
So how's this set up from a licensing and cost perspective? So I can imagine if I'm a customer that has one order with a set of sandboxes, that I just pay one set of licenses, but what if I'm a consultancy? How does that work?
Yeah, so the licensing structure is we have 3 different licenses. One is geared towards release manager that are going to have an overall view of the process and doing deployments to production. And we have a second license that's change management that's geared towards developers, so that they work on their user stories, and then also they can promote and deploy as well. And the third license is branch management, so it's a license per each of the branches that you saw in the deployment flow. Yeah, so we're gonna have a demo later on to explain more.